And you just have to love the Prime Minister getting into those Indian Navy overalls to be on board INS Vikrant. What could be more fitting? What could be more symbolic of the Prime Minister not just spending a few hours with the men and women of the INS Vikrant crew, but spending a night and an entire day with them on Diwali. And it's difficult to convey truly how meaningful and significant and emotive this moment will be for our sailors and officers on board the Indian Navy's biggest ship, the INS Vikrant, because these are men and women who've been on combat duty just 5 months ago during Operation Sindoor and continue to be on combat duty even now in the Arabian Sea. Now, these pictures from earlier today are from off the coast of Goa and Karwar, the southern part of the country in the Arabian Sea, which is near the home base of the INS Vikrant. But the Prime Minister, and I've met him on some occasions, I can tell you that the Prime Minister is a man who attaches a huge amount of value to spending time with our men and women in uniform. So this is not a gimmick. Believe me when I say this is not just an exercise or a compulsion or trying to flex our armed forces. This is something the Prime Minister has always wanted to do. When he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he used to do this. Even before that, when he was a BJP worker, he loved the armed forces. He wanted to spend time with them as much as he possibly could, given his position. But now that he's the Prime Minister, he is able to get to those places where he can spend time, quality time, not just a fly-by-night operator, quality time with our armed forces. So whether it is the Adhampur Air Base, whether it is right here in the shadow of MiG-29 fighters, which played such a stellar role in pinning down the Pakistan Air Force to the coast, not letting them fly even for a moment over the Arabian Sea, frustrating them beyond belief, and then finally forcing them to the ceasefire table. Please remember this Deepavali, that these are the men and women who played one little bit of a role among so much else in making sure that Operation Sindoor was a huge victory for India. So I want you to hear their voices because you never ever hear the chants of our armed forces very often. But here on board INS Vikrant, as the mithai is being fed, as the flower petals are being showered, this is India's leader, Prime Minister Modi, respecting, offering tribute, offering national gratitude, and telling the people of INS Vikrant and the Indian Navy family at large that India is truly grateful for their service. It wishes them a happy Deepavali. It recognizes that they must all be on duty and on deployment far away from their families in different parts of India. And therefore, India is truly, truly so thankful for every moment of their service. In all Indians, that gratitude flows through the man on your screen, Prime Minister Modi. So as he waves to them, please believe me, it's not just the Prime Minister, it is every Indian saying thanks to the Indian military. Let's listen in once again to those beautiful sounds from INS Vikrant.
मेरे आंसुओं की मोती पे मेहरबानी देना, मेरे आंसुओं की मोती पे मेहरबानी देना, मेरे शरीर के हर हिस्से पे हिंदुस्तान लिख देना। मुझे मंदिर और मस्जिद दोनों प्यारा है, कहीं भगवान लिख देना, कहीं रहमान लिख देना। मंदिर और मस्जिद दोनों प्यारा है, कहीं भगवान लिख देना, कहीं रहमान लिख देना। भारत माता की मेरे आंसुओं की मोती पे मेहरबानी देना, मेरे आंसुओं की मोती पे मेहरबानी देना, मेरे शरीर के हर हिस्से पे हिंदुस्तान लिख देना। मुझे मंदिर और मस्जिद दोनों प्यारा है, कहीं भगवान लिख देना, कहीं रहमान लिख देना।
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, वंदे 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 वंदे। तीनों सेना के जवानों को फिर एक बार सैल्यूट करता हूं।
The Prime Minister on board INS Vikrant. We'll get a full version of his speech in a short while from now. But it is very clear that the Prime Minister's speech was pointed directly at the Indian Navy, the incredible work they did. He also spoke in general about the Indian military and the stellar work they did during Operation Sindoor. He also touched upon Maoist violence. Now, Maoist violence is something unsurprisingly that features in every speech by the Prime Minister in the last few days because of just what an incredible, gargantuan achievement that is for this government. Now, there are many questions to be asked and NDTV will continue to ask them, but the end of Maoist violence as is being projected by this government, by the Prime Minister, by the Home Minister, is a huge milestone in security across governments. Naxal violence has been recognized as the single biggest internal security threat that this country has faced. It has kept large parts of central India in darkness and away from development, and that's the reason why the Prime Minister now holds up the end of Maoist violence as a huge achievement. And I personally think this is something we should all agree on. We should all agree on. It is something that has drenched central India in blood for so long. And that's the reason why the Prime Minister first mentioned it during the NDTV World Summit on Saturday and then again today on board INS Vikrant. The NDTV network is so proud that that big message was first conveyed from the NDTV World Summit podium and then again today from the flight deck of INS Vikrant. I would be remiss if I didn't point out to you that the aircraft you see there in the background with its bent wings is a MiG-29K fighter of the Indian Navy. The MiG-29K fighters, and there are many pilots in these pictures. You won't know who they are until we zoom in, but there are many pilots in these pictures, aviators who flew deterrent combat missions during Operation Sindoor. So it wasn't just the surface navy, but naval aviators who played a supreme role. And, you know, I hope one day the real stories of that valor actually come out, because there were those who were firing the weapons, firing missiles, firing BrahMos missiles into Pakistan. And on the other side, over the Arabian Sea, were these men and women primed and ready, their fingers on the trigger, ready for that word or that order from the political leadership to begin the next phase of what would have been perhaps the most devastating phase of Operation Sindoor. And they finally had to stand down after a hot standby for a few hours because Pakistan simply crumbled and couldn't face up to the prospect of being so badly attacked by the Indian Navy. The Indian Navy is called the silent service, but I can guarantee you there is nothing silent on board INS Vikrant this morning with the Prime Minister on board, and those are the sounds that you're actually hearing right now. Let's put those that sound up once again. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with much more from onboard INS Vikrant, including the Prime Minister's full speech. Enjoy these pictures on this Diwali.
मुझे मंदिर और मस्जिद दोनों प्यारा है, कहीं भगवान लिख देना, कहीं रहमान लिख देना।